You ever feel like life has this way of making you the villain in a story you never wrote? That's what happened to me. And I swear, I didn't start out this way. I was the guy who gave, who sacrificed, who put everyone else first. But you know what happens when you give too much? People stop appreciating it. They start expecting it. And then they start taking. That's how my story begins. With giving, with trust, with love, and with betrayal so deep it turned my heart into something I barely recognize. I should have seen the signs earlier. The whispers when I walked into the room, the forced smiles, the half-hearted thank yous. But I ignored them because I believed in them. My so-called friends, my family, the people I would have laid down my life for. They took my kindness and twisted it, used my generosity as a stepping stone while I stood there, sinking. And when I needed them the most, when I was at my lowest, they turned their backs on me. That was the moment everything changed. I didn't choose to become the villain. They made me one. You ever hear the saying, "No good deed goes unpunished"? I used to laugh at that. Thought it was the kind of thing bitter people said when life didn't go their way. But now I understand it in ways I wish I didn't. Because when you give people your heart, your time, your everything, they don't cherish it, they drain it. And when there's nothing left to take, they toss you aside like garbage. That's exactly what they did to me. It all started with small things. Things I ignored at first because I didn't want to believe what was happening. The late night whispers, the subtle shifts in their behavior, the way my name left their lips with a different weight, lighter, like I was fading from their world before I even realized it. I remember the night everything unraveled, the night I finally understood. It was supposed to be a celebration, my celebration. Years of work, sacrifice, and dedication had finally paid off. I had done everything for them, every single thing. I built us up, made sure they had what they needed. I fought for them, bled for them, and for once I thought, this is my moment, my time to be recognized. But when I arrived at the venue, I knew something was wrong. The air was thick with something unspoken. The kind of tension that wraps around your throat like a noose, tightening with every step forward. People avoided my gaze, their smiles forced, their laughter empty. My gut told me to turn around, to walk away before I saw something I couldn't unsee. But I didn't, because I trusted them. I walked into the room, expecting the warmth of friends, the embrace of those I had lifted for years. Instead, I was met with cold indifference, the kind that seeps into your bones, making you question every moment, every sacrifice. And then I saw it, in the center of it all, him, the one person I never thought would betray me, the one who I had trusted the most, the one I had given everything to. And there he was, sitting in my seat, surrounded by my people, wearing a smile that didn't belong to him. I waited for someone, anyone, to acknowledge me, to call me over, to remind him that I was the reason they were all there. But no one did, because they had already moved on, like I had never mattered, like everything I did for them was forgotten the second it was convenient. And in that moment, something inside me cracked. Not just anger, not just sadness, something deeper, something darker. Betrayal has a way of changing a person. It rewires you, kills the parts of you that once believed in loyalty, in love, in trust. I stood there, watching them laugh, celebrate, as if I had never existed. And I realized I wasn't part of their story anymore. I was a footnote, a lesson, a cautionary tale. And that's when I knew They had made their choice, and now I was going to make mine. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, the noise of their laughter ringing in my ears like a funeral bell. But it wasn't my funeral, it was theirs. They just didn't know it yet. There's something eerie about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt. It doesn't just make you angry. It transforms you. The person I was before that night, he died the second I saw the truth. And what replaced him? Well, that was something none of them were ready for. I walked out of that room without saying a word. Not because I had nothing to say, but because words were useless now. They had already spoken with their actions, and I had finally learned the most important lesson of my life. Loyalty is a myth. The world doesn't reward the selfless. It doesn't lift up those who sacrifice. It steps on them, uses them, then discards them when they are no longer needed. I had been naive for too long, but not anymore. For days, I disappeared. No calls, no messages, no explanations. I let them believe they had won, that I had just accepted my fate, like a good little fool. They continued on with their lives, never once looking back, never once thinking that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the type to go down without a fight. They should have known better. I spent those days in silence, planning, calculating. Every moment of my life had been spent lifting them up, ensuring their success. And now, I was going to do the exact opposite. Not with rage, not with recklessness, but with patience, precision. I wasn't just going to take everything back. I was going to make them feel it. And so, one by one, I started pulling the strings. The first was the one who sat in my chair, my supposed friend, the one who smiled as if he had built everything I had sacrificed for. He thought he had won, that he had taken my place. But he forgot one thing. I was the one who made him. Every connection he had, every opportunity, every ounce of respect he carried wasn't because of him. It was because of me. So, I started cutting off his lifelines, quietly, methodically. The calls stopped coming. The doors he once walked through so easily now closed in his face. Deals he thought were secure slipped right through his fingers. And just when he started to feel the pressure, when he started to wonder why everything was falling apart, I made sure he knew. A single message. After everything I did for you. The silence that followed was deafening. Then there were the others. The ones who stood by, watched it happen, said nothing. Oh, I didn't forget them. They thought they were safe because they hadn't actively betrayed me. But inaction is its own form of treachery. They were just as guilty. And so, I turned their own weaknesses against them. The one who loved attention, I made sure no one looked her way again. The one who built his career on a foundation of trust, I whispered just the right rumors, planted just the right doubts. And the one who prided himself on his influence, well, let's just say influence is a fragile thing when you remove the foundation, holding it up. It took time, patience, but soon everything they had built on my back started to crumble. And the best part? They never saw it coming. They never suspected me. Not the person who had once loved them. Not the one who had given them everything. They assumed I had just moved on, swallowed my pride, accepted my fate. But they forgot. Villains aren't born. They're made. By betrayal. By pain. By people like them. And when the dust settled, when they stood in the ruins of what they had once taken for granted, I made sure I was there, watching, silent, because the best revenge isn't loud. It's not anger or violence. It's the quiet satisfaction of knowing that after everything I did for them, they finally understood what it felt like to lose everything, just like I did.